What's going on, my peoples? Welcome to another edition of Sports Talk with Clem Boogie. Today we're going to be discussing Deshaun Watson. Yes, finally we have some semblance of when Deshaun Watson will be able to touch the field this NFL season. Okay, there's a few things to unpack here. Deshaun was accused of 20 plus sexual misconducts off the field and a massaging scandal, which extended for a long period of time. I know it was a hot topic of discussion from the beginning of the spring all the way till currently now, where we're touching on it. Deshaun is a three-time Pro Bowl player when he was playing once with the Houston Texans, and since then has been traded to the Cleveland Browns, where he currently is QB1. They've also taken the liberties of extending him in a very lucrative contract extension where it's fully guaranteed, which is very, at the time, controversial in itself. I believe it's 230 fully guaranteed. Anyone who's followed the NFL knows anything about the NFLs and finances and how they do their contractual agreements. Nothing's really guaranteed in the NFL. So with that being said, it was an eye opener. But let's get back to what, is the hot topic, and that is Deshaun is finally going to be able to play. Is he going to get some pushback? Yes. I think still at this hour, the NFL has 3 days to, make an appeal to the decision that was rendered by Sue Robinson, who is a high-ranking officer in the NFL who conducts the investigation. And, seemingly she, sees fit. She goes through all the evidence and things of that nature just to render the decision. Keep in mind, there were 2 attempts to make it a criminal suit against Deshaun Watson, and they got thrown out, dismissed, thrown out, however you want to classify it. So it turned into a civil matter. Obviously, anyone who's been following the case has known that there's been settlements. I think there's been a plethora of settlements. I want to say all 20 plus women have settled outside of court. So, with that being said, everyone could potentially move on. I know, with these egregious allegations, no one, can really be the same. I know it leaves like a dark cloud or proverbial mark on anyone. No one wants to be accused of anything. So back to Deshaun. Deshaun is a very talented quarterback when on the field. Off the field, look, people make mistakes. People do things that are very questionable. And, you just don't know anything of what one's life is outside those lines. But with that being said, he's moved on to Cleveland, where he should meet up with his new teammates in live action around, I believe, week 6, week 7, which should be the end of his suspension period. Hopefully, the NFL doesn't take the liberties of, appealing, which if they appeal it, it turns into a very murky situation. We just don't know. It could be extended, but from all of what's been said in other media and other outlets, so that the NFL will just stick or abide by Sue Robinson's decision. After all, they're all one unit, and they have to, they seemingly want to kind of have a code of conduct where, everyone's decision is respected. So with that being said, Deshaun gets to play this season. Let's just say that. So in totality, what does that look like for the Browns? They have a very talented quarterback. Not to say that what they had last year wasn't a very serviceable quarterback in Baker Mayfield. Baker was a serviceable quarterback. Yes, he was the number 1 pick, but obviously he did not fit the mold of what the Browns needed. The Browns have been needing a quarterback to take them by storm and just lead them to the promised land. I'm not saying that Deshaun is going to come in there and, lead them to a championship or anything like that. but you never know. Football, usually the last team standing was the team that's never ever expected. I know every year everyone harps on the Tom Brady's or the Aaron Rodgers and all those kind of guys. But there, one thing about the NFL is on any given Sunday, you just never know. Um, Deshaun Watson, again, very talented quarterback. What he brings to the table is a very unique dual quarterback, which, I think is becoming a reoccurring theme in the NFL. Very smart quarterback. Anyone who's followed his college career knows that he's not afraid of the big moment. He's also was drafted by the Houston Texans. They weren't that great. And at one point, it was Watson to Hopkins, and that was their show. And they pulled it off. I think each year that they were together, they were either in the Pro Bowl or they made the playoffs. Deshaun is a very unique talent in the sense that he's going to be surrounded with a lot of good skill players, unlike where he was in the Texans in the latter stages once they traded D-Hop. They have Amari Cooper, they have Peoples-Jones, and they have a horse in the back of Nick Chubb, who's their running back. You have to understand, you have skill players like that, you better make something happen. And I think Cleveland this time around, they got it right. On defense, they're very stout. They have that monster, Myles Garrett, on one side. They have another monster who I think people tend to forget about, Jadeveon Clowney. They can make things happen. They have a very decent offensive line. They're going to push people around. They're going to be in the trenches. They're going to be a very physical team. But now you have Deshaun Watson, someone who's able to fling the ball all over the yard. So with that being said, I think Cleveland might be that dark horse. So people better pay attention. I think a lot of people didn't understand or didn't know what the fate of Deshaun Watson would be. Obviously, they had serviceable quarterbacks. One, they had Josh Dobbs and Jacoby Brissett. Obviously, Jacoby Brissett is a proven winner. He was under the tutelage of one Tom Brady when they were both part of the New England Patriots. And yeah, he knows how to win. He knows how to play football. You don't get to this level not knowing what you're doing or what's expected out of you. So yeah, I expect him to hold down the fort until Deshaun touches the field. Cleveland Browns have been the laughingstock for quite some time. I think the last time they had a leg to stand on, Bernie Kosar was their quarterback. Since then, they've had tons of quarterbacks come in and out, in and out. Just a revolving door when it comes to Cleveland. But with that being said, this year might be different. And I can't stress that enough. Deshaun is, I'm not going to say he's a once-in-a-lifetime player, but he's different. And, anyone who's ever played sports, anyone who's, done anything, business, anything, etc. When someone says you're different, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And he brings that it element to Cleveland, where they've been missing for quite some time, like I said. I know on the betting sites, they had Cleveland way, way, way at the bottom because of the big cloud that was hovering over them. But I think this decision kind of bumps them up. I'm not saying that they are going to be the cream of the crop, but they're definitely, I see them winning their division. The AFC North is not as what it once was. Pittsburgh is not Pittsburgh. Although they have Mike Tomlin, you can never, count out a Mike Tomlin team. And there's also those boys from Baltimore. Once they get things figured out with Lamar Jackson, which is another, issue going on over there, and what they're trying to do schematically, once they kind of figure those things out, you never know. But right now, I think for my pick, I'm going to say the Cleveland Browns. And yes, I'm doing it and saying it because one, Deshaun Watson. Once you see how special he is, or remember of what some of the schemes and things and some of his theatrics that he had provided on the field for the Houston Texans, you're going to see something very different when he's suited up for the Cleveland Browns. He's obviously going to have something to prove. Keep in mind, it's been a year since he's touched the field. So you know he's hungry. And when someone's hungry, you just never know what might happen. But I'm hoping for the best. So, with that being said, like I said, we have some semblance of where Deshaun stands, how the NFL magistrate and Sue Robinson, how she ruled, which was 6 games. And hopefully, everyone can move past it, turn to the next page, and, everyone can just kind of go on, move on. I know, we live in a society where we like to harp on things, but is it really necessary? Like it was alleged, he made his press conferences, the accusers. I think everybody at this point has had enough. We're all dying for football. I know I am. I know everyone is. If you're on social media or any kind of outlet, everyone's crying for football. Good thing is, we have a few weeks away, I think exactly 1 month or 4 weeks away from college football, which is, another avenue where I'm going to be talking about a lot of the teams and how NIL will affect everything else. But as far as Deshaun Watson, I'm a fan of him. People make mistakes. I know it probably won't be popular, but I'm a fan. I can't knock him down. I don't know him personally, but I respect what he does on the field. And that's really all I have to say about it. 6 games, not too many people are going to like it, but the rule is the rule. But stay tuned. We got more things to talk about, and we'll gradually grow and understand one another. I'm just here to have conversation with you. Occasionally I'll throw out my betting picks and things of that nature, possible winners, my predictions. But other than that, we'll have fun with the NFL, NBA, college football, college basketball, and even boxing. We're going to be all over the place. Tons of topics, tons of things to talk about. Too many things in the world going on to be worried about. I'm not trying to build world peace, and I'm not trying to solve world hunger. People have to understand everybody has their respective issues. We all have our respective avenues that we look to. But, just be yourself. Be yourself. You're allowed to have a point of view. Hey, I have one, and I'm just sharing my opinion, just like you should. So with all that being said, let's just talk. Have a conversation. Get to know one another. You just, tell me what you think. You can comment, like, share, subscribe. And other than that, just watch me work. See you soon.